Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another LEGO Train MOC Showcase video. This is a very special episode, as this is a rebuild of my A1 Peppercorn Tornado, rebuilt to 7 studs wide. So why is this special? Well, I said this in the P2 episode, and I shall say it again here. There are a lot of LEGO Train MOCs that you can find online that are built to 7 studs wide. And I have put that off for the longest time because I never thought my build skills were good enough to go 7 wide, because it's an odd number. It's actually quite difficult to build to an odd number. But at 7 studs wide, it's the perfect scale for a LEGO train. Using larger wheels, going 7 wide in comparison to the size of a minifigure, getting the right size drive wheels, it just looks so much better. In comparison to my 6 wide builds, it's not that much bigger, but it makes a big difference. So yes, this is a very interesting build, very fascinating build as well. I'm very happy with this. I started this a day after I started the P2, and this was finished a day after the P2 finished, which I think is actually quite amazing. As I was building the P2, I was learning some techniques on building at 7 wide, and they were applied here. But this isn't actually too different from the 6 wide build that I did way back when. So the 6 wide build was actually the smallest tender engine at that scale that I have built. But this now is massive, and I think that's really funny. It looks so much better. Again, more details have been added. The larger drive wheels are a huge factor. And in fact, that is the main reason why I started building this. Because I have XXL wheels still, the flange wheels on the ends here are previously yellow wheels that were used for my Stevenson's Champion Giant. I was able to go over them and turn them into black. They're not the same shade as the center driver, which is a bit of a shame, and even then, that counterweight is massive. It's got a bit of muck on there. Goodness. But yes, I thought, you know what, I got those wheels, let's make this happen. And I'm very glad I went ahead with it because it looks really good. But there are things like this that show off some artistic licensing, is the nice word for me to use. There are more elements across this locomotive that are not accurate, that are weird looking, and some people are probably going to leave their comments saying, well, this should change, that should change, and yeah, I get it, but again, I'm still learning 7 studs wide and capturing certain details. I know what I'm used to, I know what I like. Eventually, I'm going to be building more locomotives to 7 wide, so it'll be a good time to practice more techniques and just see what happens going forwards. But we're not going to be going forwards, we're going to be starting at the front and go backwards, which is what we traditionally do at looking at my LEGO trains. So when the camera decides to focus, there we go. A lot of this build is in black. I've turned up the exposure on the camera and I've tried to make sure there's enough light in here for you to see as much as possible. So we have golden buffers here at the front. My P2 video had this in there as well. My favourite models have golden buffers, so the P2 again, this does. My Fine Scotsman has golden buffers, and my Coronation class has golden buffers. They are my favourite locomotives, and that's just my way of saying these are my favourite builds. They look really good. Locomotives that I like more, and yeah, just a little personal touch. The nameplates are still on the smoke deflectors. These were on the previous model as well. And the smoke deflectors, again, look so much bigger, but they're so much better at this bigger scale. As do the cylinders. These look amazing. These are 3 stud long Technic bricks, and I've been able to build this up in a way where it all kind of sticks together. They don't kind of like flop out or anything. And it just looks really good. I'm very glad to be able to fit them at this size. Now, for this whole cylinder thing to be there, the whole boiler kind of sits one plate too high, in my opinion. When you look at the height of the cab to the height of the tender, it's not actually that bad. That's pretty good. But even then, the height of this engine is quite a bit higher than the height of the P2. That kind of bugs me a bit. I don't know the actual height difference. I don't have any models like Hornby models to be able to put the 2 together to find out which one is better, or not better, taller even. But I'm going to have to just go with this for now, and I'm also chalking this up to the size of the drive wheels. Again, as I mentioned earlier, these are XXL drive wheels, and looking at a few MOCs online, I have seen people use XXL drive wheels for their Lego MOC, and I thought, you know what, that looks very accurate, because on the real A1 Peppercorn, the drive wheels are absolutely huge. It's massive. And I think the best representation is this size wheel. And it's also a rarity for me because I haven't used these wheels in quite a long time. I think the last time I used XXL wheels was Stevenson's Rocket? Surely it had to be the Rocket, right? Can't remember. Maybe it was the white medallion when I made that. Yeah, probably. But it's been a very long time since I've used that size wheel. And since I had them available, obviously, again, I mentioned this earlier in the video, that inspired this build, and it all turned out really well. I'm very pleased with that. The boiler is the standard size 4 wide, 4 down boiler that I've built for my 6 wide builds. But here at 7 wide, it looks so much better. It looks more comfortable. The base plate sticks out a little bit more so it doesn't look too small or big in certain areas. And it works really well. I'm very pleased with this. You've also got more details like these 1x2 tiles above the, come on camera, focus, there we go, start that again. So these 1x2 tiles here above the drive wheels to act as splashers. Not really necessary because it doesn't go under the plate in any way, but you know, it's a detail that I've been able to add, so why not add it. As well as this 1x4 sort of L-shaped wall brick going along there. It just sits in front of the boiler with the minimal amount of space between the two, between the wall of the L shape and the wall of the boiler. That's what I'm trying to say. But yes, it works, and thankfully I got away with it. I nearly had to scrap that, but that's something that when you look at the kind of base above the wheels, that's something that really does stick out. And yeah, got away with it. This is one of the details that is wrong. So the first thing that sticks out is this massive counterweight. The second detail is this bit here. So it kind of curves up here, but then it curves up again here. With how I've built it up with the base plate and how it all kind of came together, I didn't want to really take it apart and change it. And even then, trying to find the parts that are necessary in dark blue was the other challenge. I thought, right, am I going to have to really dig around online to see if I can get the right color brick for this, or can I just get away with doing something like this? So I got, well, I'm not going to say I got away with it. It's better than what it was previously, and it was quite ugly in its previous look, but even then it's just not right. But it'll have to do because, again, I'm still learning. There are some techniques I haven't tried before, and in time I think it'll be better to do train builds in colors with bricks of a wider variety, so I can get them and make the trains look more accurate. The third detail that isn't correct is the windows. The windows should match the dark blue I've got going across here, but they're in black for one reason: these front windows. So you might not be able to see, but these windows here need to be in focus. Come on camera, behave. But these are quite remarkable. I might be able to pull one out. Can I do that? Oh, I can. Yes, so that is the brick that I'm using as the side window. And I'm keeping these black ones. Firstly, because I haven't seen these handle bricks in dark blue. But because these are like the L shape, similar to how these are built, you can actually see through that window. Look, the minifigure's in there. It's amazing. I thought, you know what, I've got to keep that. And I think in this livery, it's the only kind of way I get away with it because of how much black there is on this model. And if I were to do this in one of the green liveries, or even the light grey livery, wouldn't work at all. Well, actually, light grey probably. But even then, you get the idea. And it just works so well. I'm really pleased with how that turned out. I love it. You will see the interior of the cab at the end of the video because it's a bit of a finicky process. I want to show off everything first. And speaking of showing things off, I may as well give this a quick go. It's so smooth, it goes around corners like a dream. Love it. So the wheels that I'm using on the tender and the training wheels under the cab are these wheels here at the front. I haven't done the same thing with the P2 where I'm using medium-sized drivers, and that was mainly so because of costs. I didn't plan to make this when I made the order from Big Ben Bricks, and I thought, well, I would like to make them in the same way where it's one rigid base. I can get more details in, but even then I think I've pulled this off okay. The wheels aren't that much smaller, well, in comparison to these should be a little bit bigger, but they don't look too small, and I think that's something, again, I can get away with. But these details in front of the wheels are very different to what you see on the P2. I built the P2 tender first, and then when it came to making this one, I thought, right, I've got different wheels, might be worth trying something new. So, could I try and get one of these off, just so long as it doesn't break too much? There we go, that'll do. So, this is what I'm working with. It's the weird 1x4, where halfway through, it goes like half a stud in, which is really weird. But for this detail, I think it works really well. There's enough space between the wheel and the brick itself, mainly because if you look at it this way, that's part of the brick as well. So there's like a half a stud sort of, or like half a tile sort of gap there. And that just works. It looks really good. After buying 10 of those and 10 of the sort of handlebars I used previously on the P2, I did play around to see which ones were better, and ultimately I went with this design. And I might try and implement this design in future builds, because it doesn't look too bad. The only thing I have a problem with are these levers. So I don't know if they actually go straight down or if they're supposed to be like going inwards. From the pictures that I saw online, you got the sort of arch piece going that way, and then there's two details going downwards. Or at least what I saw. So for now, I'm going to keep them like that. It might look better for them to go inwards, but in time, we'll just have to make do and make the adjustments when necessary. But yeah, the wheels look pretty good. The base of the tender is level with the base of the cab, which is what I believe to be most important, so it all looks correct. And the tender itself is similar to how the tender of the P2 behaved. It's not that much different, and there really isn't that much to show off. It's basically the same, it's just 7 studs wide instead of 6. A little bit longer as well because of the new scale, but again, nothing to really worry about. Had plenty of bricks to make it happen, and I'm very pleased with the end result. This tender is only 1 stud longer than the P2 tender, but I again believe that to be because of the the wheels that I'm using. There is a gap between these two wheel bases. They do swivel, as you can see there, for it to go around points and corners, as they are all flanged. Nothing really too bad going on there, and yeah, it all looks pretty good. Of course, again at the back I have the magnet coupler, so it can be coupled up to my coaches, and the better coaches that look good with this are my Metroliner and Red City passenger coaches. Well, this was interesting, nowhere near as long as the P2's video, but still a fascinating video nonetheless. There isn't really much else to go over. Oh yes, I did promise a look at the cab. One moment, because I'll need both my hands. There we go. Nothing really to show off. It's not as detailed as the P2 cab. The plates and all the bricks being used there as the controls is the same sort of setup that I used in the Tornado's previous version. And yeah, it's just there. Again, nothing really to show off. But I may as well show you how it all couples up. So I've got this 1x3 Technic pin, what would you call this? Like a rod? Sure. Technic arm. And it all connects to these 2x3 plates with the center hole at the end. And I've got loads of those now because having those in black helps, where it all kind of matches up with the color of the base. And yeah, it's a bit of a finicky process because this is smaller. But again, it's not really impossible, and it helps when it goes around corners because it closes the gap, and because there's a lot of articulation points, it doesn't force a derail where this sort of kind of angles at a crazy angle, or turns at a crazy angle, like over the points for example, and then forces the derail there. Something that I had before, but after an adjustment, not anymore. Oh, and of course, since I've got the minifigure out, that is who is driving my beloved A1 Peppercorn. And there we have it. My new A1 Peppercorn Tornado. This looks beautiful. Again, a number of areas are not accurate, but nonetheless, it is still a glorious build. There are definitely better A1 Peppercorn builds out there, but I'll let you be the judge because it'd be unfair for me to really say which ones are better than mine, since I've built one of my own. Now then, what other locomotives should be built to 7 studs wide? I have a few in contention, but I will let you be the judge as to which one I do next, because, well, in time I'm going to be expanding them all. But again, it's just a matter of which one would you like to see first. Polls have been made somewhere at some point in time. This video is being recorded before any poll has been made, so I don't actually know what any of the results are because, again, the way I record videos is really weird. But nonetheless, I would like to say thank you all ever so much for watching. This has been a very fun experience building my locomotives to 7 studs wide. A much more accurate look and a much chunkier build, setting the bar for future builds on my railway. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.